right, and here is Motormaster, the Voyager from the Combiner Wars line, currently coming out in stores. As you can see, he's a repaint and actually a pretty decently heavy retool of the Optimus Prime mold that came out before. I'm going to show him off right here. And at first, it looks like, when I first saw pictures and I wasn't looking too closely, it looked like they were pretty similar in vehicle mode. But if you look, you can see like these panels back here are different. These side panels are different. He's got the actually molded in stripes that Prime doesn't have. These bumpers are different. Obviously the hood up here, he's got a little wind vane up here on top that Prime lacks. Even the chest pieces here are different. Like, so the weapon's different. The legs I feel I think are mostly the same. I don't think there's any major differences there. Now it looks like the legs from the waist down it's the same. The fists may be the same as well. But a lot of the detail, like even down here, like you can see he's got a couple of vents right there, whereas Prime has some graded vents. So there's actually quite a bit of remolding going on here. It's not as much of just a straight repaint as I expected. So yeah, the grill's different. You see he's got a little Decepticon logo here, whereas Prime just kind of has a lined truck grill. I mean, and again, since we didn't do this in the original video for Prime, I've got the Fire Guts Godkin ride. I just got in from my friend Adam. We'll be reviewing him later too. So now you can see how these stack up to the original Classics Prime in vehicle mode. And you can see they're roughly the same bulk. Obviously in robot mode they're a little different, but from the and this one's a little more squared off versus the rounded wind vane here on the Voyager. But in both length and height and in just size of the cab in relation to the rest of the truck, they're very similar. They may be a little wider too. Yeah, this one's slightly wider, but not much. So they match up pretty decently with those guys. Now I'm bringing him in and transforming him to robot mode. He's got two pieces back. Actually, it's one piece that snaps together. This right here, he's got. You can see there's a tab there that fits right in there. You can have him hold this as like a small pistol and a small sword for small robot mode. It comes in one piece, but this can actually plug in here, and you can give him a big sword for combined mode. And at first, it came in one piece. I didn't realize, and the instructions don't show the weapon storage. So I was trying to get it to fit on here and couldn't do it. And then I realized that this actually is supposed to come apart. And you just pull that apart, tab that right there onto the thing, and you can store it here in any of the slots here on the back of the vehicle. This one, his legs don't peg together as well as Prime, because it's even got the grooves there to possibly hold this weapon, but because the legs don't peg quite as tightly together, it's easier to stick it back here in one of these slots. So we'll take that weapon and we'll set it off to the side for right now. So Motormaster transforms exactly the same way Prime does into both modes. There's not a whole lot of surprises there, aside from this wind vane, which you do have to flip forward like that before you start the transformation. Or at any point, but it helps if you do it first. So you flip these down and tab them off the legs here. Just bring those forward, pull the whole leg assembly down here, snap it together like that. Flip up the feet, pull the arms apart like this, clip them onto the side, rotate the upper arm there so the vent grill is facing forward, and then slide that groove up. So there you've got Minnesota's arm, and it's the same on this side. And once you've done that, you just come up here. Let's get them all in frame. And just like Prime, this panel right here, you can push on either side, and it just flips up, rotates around, and there you've got Minnesota with his big boxy head. And I think the mold fits Minnesota a little better. The bulky look, you can see he's got a different chest plate than Prime, different abs. Again, the legs are the same. The forearms look the same, but everything up here is different as well. And of course, he's got the different back plate, but the waist piece looks to be the same part. Maybe this may be slightly remolded. We'll check in a moment. But yeah, and he's got the same shoulder articulation as Prime. The swivels, the ratcheting hips, the knees, a little bit of the foot articulation. And his head is on a ball joint, although again, the boxy look keeps it from moving too much. But he can actually look a decent amount up and down, even with that boxy head. You can use his 2 weapons. Again, you can use the giant sword in this mode if you wish, but he can also hold his weapons as both a pistol and a sword, which is kind of cool. I like that they did that. And there he is with Prime. You can see them together. And like I said, Prime looks big and bulky and powerful, and it's not a bad look for Prime. I just think it fits Motormaster a little better. And you can see all the different details here in the abs and the chest and everything. Let's see if I can get this focus locked. There we go. So yeah, and then again, now here's where you'll see the difference. Here they are with the original Generations or Classics mold. And here you can see, like, while they're about the same mass in vehicle mode, you can see they're much larger and bulkier in robot mode than the old Prime mold. Mostly because they tend to use a lot of their panels and the chunks of the car to form their robot bodies, whereas the Classics Prime, you know, the wind vane becomes the gun, which is just stored here on his back. He's got these big panels hanging off his arms, which you do have here on these guys as well. They're on the side of the arm, but it isn't quite as much of the bulk of the cab itself as just kind of forearm armor. Yeah, there's just a quick size comparison with those guys. And of course, being Motormaster, he does form the torso of Minosaur. He's going to be mostly aerial bots when we get them all combined, because Dragstrip's the only one currently out. But we'll go ahead and make the sword. And you flip his head back in here. And we're going to rotate his arms around like this. Yeah, round and up. And then this little tab right here is going to tab into this slot right next to the arm. See, that piece kind of covers that screw. And you flip his hand up back like that. Rotate his waist around. Bring his legs out. Flip these panels up. You can flip these up to the point, you can transform these to the point where like they actually clip in. There's a little tab here on the leg that will tab into this. I like to go somewhere in the middle. Just give them like one click out, one click down. But we'll see how that works. But there's the legs. Just feet up. Turn this arm around and flip it up the same way we did the other. This all lined up and snap together. There we go. Flip the crotch panel down here. And we'll leave the chest closed for a moment. Well, actually, we're going to open up the chest. And then his combiner mode head flips up, just like on Prime. And then his horns, which are actually hard plastic. They're not rubbery plastic like I expected. You flip his horns up. And there's his bare chest. And it does bear a vague resemblance to Galvatron from Age of Extinction. He does still have the same kind of open flat panels that Prime has, and here are the 2 pegs that Blackjack will fit onto here momentarily when we show that off. So, I'm just going to take the... And that's what happens when you don't secure your tripod as securely as it should be. So we're going to take the limbs and just use them in the forms I've already got them in for Superion. And you just clip them in, just like, very easy, just like on all the other combiners. I don't know why these legs aren't even. I fixed them to be. There we go. There we go. And come up here and attach the arms. Can't wait for the limbs to come out. That'll be cool. So you'll finally have a full Minosaur and a full Superion. But just to give you an idea of how he looks all combined. got that on there. Oh, there he is. And again, I think he looks a little better as Combiner Mode Torso than Prime does. Maybe that's just because I'm not used to seeing Prime. Maybe it's because his head feels a little bit more in proportion. But yeah, there it is. And the sword, of course, can fit right in the peg hole on the hand, so you can have a big old sword. Let's try to get more of him in focus here, at least in the camera frame here. And Blackjack, like I said, here's Blackjack in his torso mode. I think he can go on facing either direction because the peg's here in the middle. This front peg is way tighter than the back peg. You can plug this in either orientation. This is just the way I had them put together. And then these two peg holes go on these two pegs. And yeah, it doesn't take a whole... That's more secure than I expected it to be, based on some reports, but it does not take a whole lot of effort to get him off of there, which is kind of a shame. It feels like we could have made those pegs peg in a little tighter. But apparently that's all you're going to get. Yeah, even pushing him on there, with a lot of force, he doesn't want to come... He doesn't want to stay on very well. But it does, like, I mean, like with a proper color scheme and the right orientation, it does kind of fill in that chest piece a little better than just having those panels open. And that's kind of cool. Go ahead and take Blackjack. Wow, he really does just not stay on there very easily. Now, part of it may be because this peg hole right here is comprised of the two legs, which tab together, and they're just friction tabbed. So just pushing them on there is splitting this tab a little bit. This tab, though, is a solid piece, and even it does not want to stay on there very well. So that's kind of a shame. It'll stay on there, you know, well enough that like you can display them like that, and it's not going to go anywhere. But it really does not take a whole lot of effort to pop that off. So it's a good thing that he's actually a pretty decent figure on his own. And if you want to see him just with the regular chest closed, and even that doesn't look too bad. He's still got a little bit of that empty rib cage syndrome. But again, it doesn't seem to strike me as off as Prime does. So yeah, as we get as Wave 2 comes out and we get the rest of the Stunticons in deluxe form, as well as the last aerial bot, we'll come back and we'll show off Menasor and Superion complete with 4 of their official members. But for the most part, there you go. There's Menasor. Except this guy totally worth picking up. Motormaster by himself, I think, is worth picking up. We'll see what the whole combiner looks like when we have the Stunticons all together to really show it off. This is just kind of a proof of concept for what he looks like in combiner mode. Before we go, we'll just get a real quick close-up of his face here, which was described to me earlier as like he just smelled a bad poo. And I can kind of see it. He also kind of reminds me of something else that I'm trying to think of. Maybe Venger. Does he have kind of a Venger look to him? Maybe that's not what I'm thinking of. He reminds me, his face vaguely reminds me of something, but I'm having trouble calling it up right now. But yeah, there is Combiner Wars Menasor.